So points 6 through 10 I think are some of the most important. Tip number 6 is come up with formations ahead of time. So I know that's kind of cheating, I guess, a little bit, but it's not like we're not learning the dance ahead of time. We don't know the dance. We don't know what the cheer is going to be. We don't know any of the material, but you can go ahead and have a formation ready. So when you get to camp for your rally routine, it's like a pep rally type routine. So they're going to give you some dance. So I think it's like 5 8 counts of dance and then 5 8 counts of stunting or anything that you want to put at the end of that. So go ahead and just make that formation. Figure out where you want your cheerleaders to go. And what I do is the several practices before we go to camp, I just tell them, get in rally routine. So they know exactly where to go. So as soon as they're learning rally routine, they already know where their spot is. And we also talk about ripples. We say, okay, if this dance has 3 ripples, your ripple number 1, number 2, number 3. Or if it has 2 ripples, your ripple number 1, your ripple number 2. So they know exactly where we're going. So there's 2 formations that you need for camp. 2 formations that you need. Formation number 1, you need a rally routine formation. So this is a dance into something else. UCA staff will help you come up with something else to add to the end of that so that you don't have to stress about that. But come up with that dance formation. It's simple, figure out the ripples. And then a cheer, that's number 2 formation that you need to come up with. Again, we don't know what the cheer is going to be, so I just go ahead like at our practices and I say, okay, get in camp cheer formation, and they just walk to their stunt groups where they're going to be standing so that when they learn the cheer, they know or they have an idea of what side they'll be on, whether they're in the air, whether they're on the ground, so they have a good idea of kind of where they fit in the picture. All right, tip number 7 is go into camp knowing that it is stressful. It is so stressful. It is stressful for the coaches. It is stressful for the cheerleaders. It just is stressful. You're learning a ton of information in a very short amount of time. Everyone's tired. Everyone's homesick. People get belly aches and, it's that time of the month and all of those things happen while you're at camp. It's so fun. But go into it knowing that it's going to be stressful. So if you can kind of follow through with some of these tips, it may help to ease that stress. I know for me, I take a lot of the stress off myself by really putting it onto my girls and saying, hey, if you want to be able to be in your room at night and hang out with your friends and have dance parties and eat pizza, great, but that means that you guys are going to have to practice while you're in there. And I expect you the next day to know the material. And if you don't, then we're going to be one of those teams that is out there, outside in the heat, practicing while everyone else is, having a nap after lunch. So my cheerleaders have really stepped up to the plate every single year. I don't know how well that would work with middle schoolers, but I have high schoolers, and they really have stepped up to the plate every single year, and they make sure, my leadership makes sure that everyone knows that material backwards and forwards, and it looks sharp and good, so that they can have their relaxed time and not use it as practice time. So just go in there knowing that it's stressful, and it's okay, and you will live. But they're stressed, you're stressed, everyone's stressed. It's going to be stressful, but again, these tips may help. Okay, so UCA may kill me for this number 8 tip, but this is what I tell my cheerleaders to do. When they go to camp, they're going to try to teach them like 5 trillion things, and it becomes so overwhelming, and to me that is part of what is so stressful about camp. But on the final day, there are only 5 things that they have to be evaluated on. So I tell my cheerleaders, like, that is your focus. You only have to learn 5 things. They can learn 5 things in a week. Like, it's totally possible. So the 5 things that they need to focus on, and my seniors all know this, so when they start learning new material, they'll just turn around to the underclassmen and be like, learn this, or don't stress it, don't stress it. So they kind of know. So the 5 things are the rally routine dance. They have to know that, okay? So that's number 1. Number 1 thing. Number 2, The very first night, they also teach them a sideline, an offense and a defense sideline. So they have to learn an offensive sideline, a defensive sideline. So that's 3 things so far: rally routine, offensive sideline, defensive sideline. And usually those sidelines are super easy. They're not hard. Then they have to learn a cheer and a band dance. 5 things. That is it. On the last day, they will do their rally routine with the incorp that you added to the end of it. And then they will do a game day type experience with the band dance, the cheer, and one of those 2 sidelines. 5 things. That's it. So those 5 things are it. Like, that's what they should focus on. All the rest of the material that they try to teach, you're going to get that on a DVD. So don't stress it. Do not stress it. Those 5 things are the 5 main things that you need to focus on while you're at camp. All right, so I only have 2 points left. Number 9 is ask all the questions. Ask them. Ask them all. Again, I just feel like there's such an air of competitiveness in cheerleading, even at camp. Like, I feel like coaches don't want to talk to each other. They don't want to, like, share information or how they do things, but like, share. I am willing to share with you. I'm willing to give you advice. I'm willing to take advice. Like, I have questions. Ask all the questions. That is what your camp director is there for. That is what your UCA staff is there for. Ask all of the questions. So I try, before I ever go to camp, to make a list of questions that I have, even not related to camp. Like, if I have questions about a stunt being legal, if I have questions about grips for a stunt, I make sure I write them all down, and as I get them answered, I type it in the notes in my phone. So I know by the end of the week, like the last day, if I still have questions I need answered, I will go up to our camp director or UCA staff and be like, hey, can I just have a minute of your time to get these questions answered real quick before we leave? And they are usually so kind and will answer whatever questions you have. So don't be afraid to ask all of the questions, and ask them again and again and again, no matter how many times you need them. If you're confused, if you're lost, if you don't understand, if you're struggling, talk to another coach, talk to the UCA staff, talk to your camp director, because they are there to help you. Like, you're paying good money, real good money, to be at camp. So make sure that you get your money's worth out of it. All right, so finally, number 10 is fun and bonding is the end goal. That's what I have written here. So make sure that you understand that, yes, you'll use this material throughout the year. We use them at pep rallies. I know a lot of people use them for their halftime routines and sideline routines and all of that, and that is awesome. Use it. Use away. Like, that's what it's there for. Use the DVD that you get. Use online materials. Use the music. Use it all. Again, you paid for it. But at the end of the day, camp, at least for me and my team, is a big team bonding experience. We travel a lot for competitions. Like, we go to Gatlinburg for a competition. We go to nationals. So my girls travel a lot, but I will tell you that every year we have a big friends and family event at our school before we leave for nationals. And I asked the girls to write down their favorite cheer memories. And every single year, the majority of their cheer memories come from camp. So to me, that's a huge testament to the bonding that occurs in that place at that time. If you have any other questions for me, please let me know. Just leave them in the comments. I know another big question that I get asked a lot is about cell phones and cell phone use. So just to wrap up, I'll answer that one real quick. I do take the girls' phones during the day, and then I give them back at night and on some breaks, like after we've eaten. So I don't want them to like go into the cafeteria, get their food, and then sit there and like play on their phone. But when we get back to the room, they can have their phone. So basically, anytime we're in the dorm, they can have their phone. But if we're together or we're in class time, no phones. So, and most of my girls are totally fine with it. I won't say most. All of them are totally fine with it. They do really well, so it's no struggle. But just make it clear up front to the girls and the parents that that's what's going to happen. And tell the parents, like, if something happens or it's an emergency, like, just to call you. Like, you'll have your phone with you. So, just to call you if it's an emergency. Thanks so much. I hope this helps somebody out there. Have a great UCA camp.